so hard. I slept an hour and a half in the last 24. Keep hallucinating.
Felt to me like stopping was death.
The Iditarod Trail Invitational is an event that I said I would never, ever do. I'm not good in the cold. I have really sweaty hands and bad circulation and a lung issue, so I really felt like this event was something that physically was beyond me, and I'm here kind of to challenge that. Really, the turning point was talking to a really good friend of mine from Idaho, Jay Petervary, who is one of the legends of this race. This will be his 11th time. He's a good friend, and Jay really encouraged me. He knows, and I know, that really long expeditions are where you find out what you're really made of.
I get this very high-level hyper-focus on what I'm doing, and I really enjoy being in that space. But I can really only get it in certain events, and this is one of those events that could make me feel that way.
I'll just do whatever he does. I'm like a little puppy. Jay's been a really good friend in sharing a lot of his secrets that he's taken. Little things like this is just a camelback insulation tube over the brake lever so that when your hands are in there, nothing metal is touching your hands and you can't get cold. I mean, I never would have thought of that, and that's just some tiny thing. I was like, yes!
It's here. Here and here.
Idaho! The rookie and the veteran.
Idaho.
The experienced person in me is kind of like, okay, you know how to deal with your equipment, you know how to pace yourself, you know how to read your body. But the rookie in me is like, oh my gosh, I'm going into the Alaskan wilderness. While that terrifies me and is making my hands sweat, it's also really exciting. And I haven't felt this kind of nervousness about an expedition in 10 years. So getting back to my roots, I guess. This is it. This is my world. From Anchorage to McGrath for the next 350 miles. Hopefully everything I need and nothing I don't.
Rebecca has a huge following. She's as tough as nails. She's known as the Queen of Pain. I think she's an amazing, inspirational person, especially as a female athlete.
I'm used to this kind of organization and gear, but I've never done a cold weather expedition, and that's really what's kind of freaking me out, is knowing what food will freeze, what kind of clothing I need to have.
We pack for our fears. We kind of all heard that before, and I call it paranoia packing. And I can even look back in my first experience of how much gear I had and just never touched it.
Okay, ready or not.
And this is a pretty physical activity, and the weight does matter. But at the same time, I think a rookie should be packing for their fears, because it's also a serious environment. No one's died yet to date out there, but I can tell you it's a place where people can.
Well, this year it looks like it's going to be a pretty fast race. We've had a lot of snow, and then we have sunny conditions. It's pretty cold. The course varies every year. Mother Nature decides how the race unfolds. I expect really, really fast times this year.
Ooh, nice job! Oh, it's a beautiful day. So ready to be started. There's a group up ahead of me. Yeah, I'm just happy to be going on the historic Iditarod Trail. Woo! How's it going? Oh yeah, having a good time.
Beautiful day.
Oh yeah, it is. Perfect.
They're waiting up there. They're maybe like a mile up.
Oh, cool, thanks. In 1925, a diphtheria epidemic threatened the people of Nome, Alaska, and the serum that they needed was 1,000 miles away in Anchorage. It took 20 mushers and more than 100 dogs to relay the package 674 miles all the way to Nome. This journey is known as the Great Race of Mercy, and it's the most famous event in the history of Alaskan dog mushing. This is how the Iditarod dog sled race was born. In the 1990s, a human-powered version of that race was born as well, and that's the Iditarod Trail Invitational. The ITI 350 is what I'm gonna attempt on my bike.
The country that we pass through is totally impassable in the summertime, and it's really remote.
There is nothing bigger and scarier in my mind than Alaskan wilderness in the winter.
It's the kind of event that you just can't expect to go out and be rescued just because you feel uncomfortable. You might be out there and find yourself in dire straits, and you only have your own wits and skills about you.
It turned really cold before YENTNA station. I kept trying to look down at my thermometer, but the lowest it goes is -20, and it was basically off the charts. Just only 60 miles in, my camelback hose is freezing, my feet are cold. Kind of want to change a little bit where I have things on the bike, so. I was really starting to figure out how hard it is to actually get food into your mouth when you have 7 layers on, and the simple act of eating and drinking is really hard. And all of a sudden you've gone a whole day without eating the calories or drinking the fluids that you need to drink. I was failing, and that was starting to add up, and I would pay for that later.
It's morning, day 2. It's still like -30 out or -20. It's so cold. The sun's up at least. Beautiful view. But, the roller coaster is happening. Feel good for 5 minutes, bad for an hour, good for a little bit, bad again. Just trying to move. I don't want the sun to go down though. Oh, it's gonna be cold again. I keep hallucinating and thinking I'm seeing lodges in the woods, but that's definitely real. Okay. Oof, butt hurts. Hi. How are you? Yeah, that's me. How'd you know it was me?
I saw you on the map.
Oh, awesome.
Getting close.
Is it okay to hang out in here for a little bit?
You bet. Are you hungry?
I am hungry.
All right, I'll get
what
you
do you
something.
have?
We have chicken burritos or veggie burritos.
Oh, I'll take chicken.
And all right.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you.
When I got to Finger Lake, that's where we get our first food drop that we had sent ourselves. And so I was excited about trying to remember what I had sent.
Thank you, sir. Oh, there we go.
Lifesaver.
It's way too much, but the batteries are the main thing, you know?
And opened up my little drop bag that I had sent to myself, and everything in it just looked terrible. And I was just kind of so bummed, thinking, I know I need to eat more, I need more calories. And in hindsight, I would prepare my food a lot differently, into much smaller bite-sized pieces. And Jay had told me your food goes from your bike to your body to your mouth, and you basically have to thaw it along the way. As soon as you've eaten that, you know that you've probably burned more than the calories of the 20 minutes it took you to eat that. So it's a constant deficit.
You can see who's been through.
Oh, good.
I think
Yeah.
you're about 11.
Okay.
The first female of the bunch. All right.
All right. Yay. 70 miles. Shoot, that could be 24 hours. I hope not. The second part of the race, the hardest part. So, done all the easy stuff. But hasn't really felt very easy.
At those temperatures, while you can stay warm with the equipment while you're moving, the second you stop, your body is starting to freeze, because it felt to me like stopping was death.
There are a lot of dangers out there on the trail, the least of which I think is cold. There's ornery moose that could stomp you. But for me, I think I am most afraid of water. There are some water crossings out there. There's overflow on the trail this year that you can't see the water that's lying underneath the snow, and before you know it, you might just step in it and go over your boots, and then your feet are wet, and what do you do? It's below zero. How do you take care of yourself without your feet freezing?
Oh, shoes are waterproof.
This was the first part of the course where the trail really got the better of me.
Oh. The bike is so heavy.
Nobody had mentioned this section between Finger Lake and Pantilla Lake, and it was hard. And when I finally rolled into Rainy Pass Lodge, I was completely empty and depleted, and I literally fell off my bike when I got to the cabin and couldn't stand up again. I had burned every match that I had. And luckily there was a shelter there and I could get in, and I went about the tedious business of trying to take care of myself. Get my clothes dry, get food into my body, but everything was a chore.
Running on fumes. Yeah. So I gotta get a good sleep, like maybe 4 hours or something. Like, big. Yeah. But I gotta get some food in me. I'm not even halfway. It's gonna take like 5 days for me.
I think the biggest concern for me at that point was nobody had talked about this Happy River Step section being hard. Everyone talked about the section ahead of me. Rainy Pass is super hard. And so I'm calculating in my mind, if that was the easy section, then what's gonna happen in the hard section?
This is the hardest section of the course coming up. It's gonna be really important that I do a better job. I failed yesterday. So today's a new day, but I am completely whooped. Everything about me is tired. This is Rainy Pass. It's the biggest climb on the route. Whoa. Tipped over. I'm stuck in my pedals. So if you get off the trail, the snow's really deep. And the bike's really heavy. Get off of you. Use the bike to pull me out. Oh, crap. Rainy Pass. Yes. Okay, we have to go downhill now. Feels really good to know that's behind me. Oh.
You know, there's a beauty sometimes in ignorance, but in this, not knowing these sections of trails, I had built them up to be these, you know, big monsters. And, you know, it turns out that Rainy Pass wasn't a big monster for me. It was in great condition. It was a beautiful sunrise. It was one of my favorite parts of the course. And I felt, you know, I was rejuvenated from the rest and the food. And the ride down the other side, which is the Dalzell Gorge, was some of the best riding I've ever done in my life. And I really remember in that section thinking about the Iditarod dog sled teams, and I was really starting to feel the history of the trail and the meaning of the trail and what everyone who passes through there, it is a rite of passage. Then I went downhill and then I crashed my bike a bunch.
Oh, fuck. Saw that coming. Okay.
After that part was really fun riding, and so I really was enjoying that day.
This is my first time riding on ice, that's for sure. I'm not looking forward to nighttime. Just trying to enjoy the day, but I don't want the sun to set. Oh, it's so cold when the sun goes down.
Roan at mile 200, when I got there, I saw some of the other racers again.
Hi, team. Yeah. Thanks, good to see you too. Huh. Nice to have that behind us. Whew. All right, what happens now?
We were taking a little bit of a rest because this was the big scary part that everyone had talked about. The section from Roan to Nikolai is 80 miles with no shelter. And the most exposed section of the course where you really and truly are 100% on your own. I was at this point really having trouble even eating the food at the aid stations now. My stomach just kind of was shutting down. My body was betraying me, and I was hoping that my mind and my heart and sort of my determination could make up for the sort of the lack of physical strength, and that would be enough. I think I made it not quite halfway through that 80 miles, and I had to stop. I had to pull over by the side of the trail, and I made a little nest and a little bed, and to try to insulate myself more from the snow. And I didn't set an alarm. I just woke up with the sun. Waking up that morning and packing my sleeping bag away and going, okay, I survived. I survived the night. I'm gonna make it now. I'm gonna make it to the end. And I spent most of that day riding on empty again, but riding and moving forward and feeling like I had a little bit of a rhythm, even though the miles per hour weren't very fast. And rolled into Nikolai. I spent time there and definitely physically beat down, but I was smelling the barn, so to speak, and knowing that there were friends waiting for me.
Okay, it's the last morning. I'm 10 miles from the finish, completely spent, freezing cold. I'm just really in awe of Alaska and the people who can do this race and how incredibly hard it is. I'm proud of myself and very humbled.
I saw 15 different moose out there. It felt like it was the MCGRATH moose welcome for me, and kind of like the Champs-Elysees, but lined with moose instead of people. Maybe I was hallucinating them, I don't know. But it was definitely really special to see these majestic animals, 5-10 feet away from me, and just kind of looking at me thinking, where have you been? When you're out there alone by yourself that long, you talk to yourself, you talk to the sky, you talk to the moon, you talk to the moose. And finally, the last thing I saw before getting to the finish line was my friend Jay Petervary, and he was not a hallucination. He had ridden out about a mile before the finish on this road to welcome me and give me the first hug. He's the reason I came to do this event, and he's the one who believed in me, and he's the one who gave me the confidence, the equipment, the know-how, and also the excitement. He said to me, this event will change you. And it did. The finish at MCGRATH is in Peter and Tracy's house, this beautiful couple that have hosted the finish of the race for years. And they open up the place to all of us like family. And you go in there is food cooking, omelets and coffee and soup, and they open every single room in their house. After being so cold and so alone and so solitary in your own mind and your own heart for so many days, it's almost like you can finally let your breath out, and you can, like, the weight you've been carrying on your own shoulders of like trying to be strong and take care of yourself and do everything right and survive the Alaskan wilderness, you can finally just go, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're good. No, I didn't get any frostbite or anything.
And they swoop you up, and they take care of you, and they make you a bath, and they tuck you into bed, and they give you some food and a cup of tea, and you know that everything's gonna be okay. It's the best finish line in the world and one of the biggest accomplishments that I've ever achieved in my whole life. When I came home from riding the Iditarod, it took me a long time to recover from it and to process what it really meant. It's hard to explain the intensity of the solitude, and it was interesting because I felt alone, but I didn't feel lonely. Even seeing another bike tread, there was this connection to a history, to the people on the trail, to the people coming on the trail, to the Alaskan natives. I felt this really strong connection to the place just by this umbilical cord of the trail connecting us all.
That was really fun, wasn't it?
A small group of people, and they're bonded by that experience. The reward that came from the Iditarod is the confidence of what I can do. It's an evolution in my career as an athlete, but I also feel like it's a return to who I really am and have always been, even as a child, and that's an explorer. And I need to constantly go to new places and push new boundaries physically to actually find new places internally. And I learned something about myself that even at age 50, I didn't know. And Iditarod really brought me back to who I am and what I stand for. And I'm really excited about going back again next year.